Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
And they're off.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
And a very good afternoon to you. Welcome along to Friday Night Racing. It's Gilroy and Johnny Ward with you every Friday afternoon here across all of our social channels. We broadcast live at 3 o'clock and then we rebroadcast every Friday evening at 8 o'clock on Off the Ball on News Talk. So if you want to join us during the afternoon, you feel free to tweet us at Off the Ball, or you can always text us during the evening on 53106. Johnny, how are you getting on?
Not too bad. Jerry, yourself?
I'm very good. I'm very excited about our guest today, who's Billy Lee. Billy, good afternoon to you. How are you getting on?
Hey lads, how are you getting on?
How's lockdown treating you?
Not too bad. Keeping busy. I have plenty to do at home, and a couple of days right now, so not too bad.
You're a farmer as well as being a jockey, is that right?
A little bit, yeah. We've a bit of land at home, so there's always jobs to be done, corners to tidy and horses to throw here, there and everywhere, so keep me busy.
What kind of farming is it? Is it a mix of stuff? Is it horse related specifically, or what is it?
Well, I'd be a horse race specifically. Just a few mares and store horses and a couple of young flat ones as well. And sister has cattle on the other side of the farm, so she'll be busy with that.
And do you avoid the cattle? Is that one of your, oh look, I'm really busy, I'd love to go over and help you this morning, but actually, you know...
No, not too bad that way. I don't mind them, but she looks after them, so the horses take up plenty of my time.
I have a horse that needs its coat brushed.
Well, no, I'd leave that to the nieces or something like that. I'd go off the fields and be fencing up something, hopefully.
Come here, I'm always interested in how you maintain fitness, because a lot of the time it seems from the people we talk to on Friday afternoons is that you get to a certain level of fitness and then doing the racing all the time because you're a jockey keeps you fit. So now, without the adrenaline of the races, what are you actually doing to make sure that when racing comes back, and we have dates now, that actually you're going to be ready to go?
Yeah, look, no, I'm just taking over, just keep myself, try and get some bit of exercise every day, and whether it be walking or running or just doing a workout at home, and just riding out as much as I can at home, and a few days a week now going to different yards riding out, and you know, that's basically what it is, just try and keep us fit. But it is sort of hard to replicate race riding fitness, so probably just take a few days to get back into the swing of things, as in, you know, fitness wise. But other than that, it wouldn't be too bad. Will
you be sore after a race, or after? So let's say you've got a book of rides and there's 3 or 4 rides on that one day. How sore will you be after that now, not having been in that environment for a period of time?
No, I wouldn't say sore. No, just, you know, usually when you have a little breaker like that, it's the lungs that actually are the worst affected with me anyway. You know, you really just, because you're working that hard for that 20-30 seconds that you're pushing the horse out in the finish. It just, the lungs is the one that actually gets me a bit. But other than that, I wouldn't be sore.
Right, and can you do anything that replicates that? Like, can you sprint on a bike? Can you run as fast as you can? What's the closest approximation you get to that?
Yeah, I suppose, you know, yes, something like that, sprints. You know, I wouldn't really use the bike, but I suppose sprinting at home would be some way going to replicate, or doing strength and conditioning there. Wayne Middleton above in race is very good. You know, I've kept in contact with him there a little bit during the lockdown, and he's good, and he gives me a good workout. So, you know, they work.
How tiring, Billy, is it to ride flat horses at the top level? We'll say, I suppose one of the offshoots of the lockdown has been that a lot of people have maybe gotten into exercise, and they've found that they've a new love for a new exercise. But how would you describe the fitness required to ride? I suppose you mentioned a finish there, and people look at it and think it sure can't be that hard. You're only riding for a minute, but there's obviously a lot to it physically.
Yeah, and it's I suppose it's a lot of muscle memory. You know, you hadn't sat in a horse for 6 weeks, or 7 weeks, whichever. You know, your muscles react very quickly, as in, you know, they remember what you have to use to be riding in a race, and I suppose it's just that, it's just a lot of muscle memory, but that's probably taken years to build up, you know.
Yeah, and when you come back for the first fixture, what'll the weighing room's obviously a very strange place at the moment anyway because of the restrictions, but it must be a bit like your first day back at school in September really, because you're all kind of looking at each other and probably half wondering how this is going to go.
That's it exactly. We're sort of. I suppose we've had the experience of the few meetings before lockdown came in, so that'll be a little bit of a help. But yeah, it'll be a bit strange, as you said, it's like going back to school in September. It'll be a bit strange, but look, we'll get cracking on and we'll be back into no time.
I don't know if you have like jockey WhatsApp groups or whatever, but what has the prevailing mood been like? Because I suppose all the debate in terms of racing coming back was trainers and owners and the breeze ups and the sales and all that. But what's it been like for jockeys?
Yeah, look, we're all sort of just kept in contact there, and we're all just looking forward to getting back now. You know what I mean? Obviously, being health-related, scared that the pandemic is, it's fully understandable why racing was stopped. And but now that the numbers look good and we're heading in the right direction, we're just looking forward to really getting back and getting going. Because. You do miss it after a while. You do miss it, and looking forward to it.
What specifically do you miss? What when lockdown happened? What was the first thing you went? Oh, geez, I'm going to miss that.
It's just riding winners, I suppose. I love riding good horses, good winners, and that's I miss that. I miss that at the moment, and the competitive action. And then the banter with the lads inside the weigh room is another thing. So. You do miss a few things like that.
Do you know how to describe the feeling of riding a winner? Because it's something that we hear about so much, and even just the competitive instinct that obviously elite sports people have, but they often find it very difficult to explain exactly what precisely it is that separates that competitive instinct from people who just like taking part in sport, like most of us do.
Yeah, I don't know, to me, it's just the satisfaction because we're out putting in so much work and you're here in Ireland because it's such a competitive weigh room. You're testing yourself nearly with the best every day. So there's satisfaction in that you're after that you're good enough to get on a good horse and that you're testing yourself against top level lads every day of the week.
Is it a different feeling depending on how you go into the race? So if you go into the race on a favourite, is the feeling in the aftermath of that, bit of relief that I didn't manage to screw this up? But if you go in on an outsider, you're like, kind of, I proved them wrong. Is there a difference in how you feel? So each winner is not exactly the same.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you would say that like riding a favourite would be a little bit different, but you just have to go out. That the professional side of the job is you go out and just do your job, and you ride the race what you think is best, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, there's another day, hopefully. That's all you can do. That's the professional side of the job.
Look, I understand the professional side of the job, but at the same time, we're all humans, right? There's a bit where you're like proving people wrong, or like, I guess that's very on trend at the moment, because obviously the Michael Jordan documentary is out. I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of the stuff that drove him was either somebody saying something to him or something he imagined in his head that somebody might say to him that gave him a sense of drive and determination that ultimately leads to the satisfaction of victory.
I actually haven't seen it yet. I must watch it. I heard it's very good. But yeah, look, I suppose, but maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't. I try not listen to people too much and sort of, with their negative comments, and I don't follow that too much because our job is very day to day, and if you have a bad day, you just put it behind you and go on, and you're riding your 4 or 5 rides next day, and you just try and you go out and do your best in the next day, and you go out and you try and nick a winner and get your confidence back, but to give yourself that bit lift again, because some days you would be feeling a little low after maybe you might have gone race and you'd say you had real good chances, and for one reason or another they just didn't work out, and you can be a bit low after that, but other than that, it's just looking forward to the next day. That's all you can do.
You do seem to have a particularly good attitude to it, Billy, as well. That you kind of the old cliche of taking each race on its merits, but you seem to be able to. I suppose your motto is that there's always tomorrow, and that you can always ride your next race and kind of get on with things. But you seem to have a positive mental attitude to the whole game.
I do try and keep as positive as possible with that, because yourself, Johnny, it's a long, hard slog of a season. When you're in the say in August and you don't have a day off, and if you start letting negative thoughts and negative comments into your head like that, it is zaps your confidence very quick, and you can't let that happen. So just ignore it, just keep going, keep doing what you're doing, and believe in. I just try and believe in myself and believe in the confidence and the ability that I have as a jockey, and just keep going.
Were you always fairly confident in your own ability? I suppose I've argued you're maybe one of them jockeys that hasn't gotten nearly enough opportunities in kind of Group 1s, but obviously there is a very small pool of riders who get that opportunity in Ireland and Britain at the moment. But were you always confident in yourself as a top-class rider?
I suppose when I was younger, no, I always had doubts whether I was going to make it or that, but I just kept trying to keep going and just keep at it. And I suppose you do build up a bit of a thick skin over the years, and I feel now that I'm well equipped to be, if the call came to get on a top class horse in the morning, that I'm well equipped to be there and to be getting a chance to ride it.
Do you those Group 1 winners that you've had as recently as Romanized, is it how do you kind of, I suppose, compare riding in Group 1s and riding, we'll say, 50 winners in a season? Is it what's your priorities in terms of numbers or getting proper rides in group races?
Well, I suppose you have to start off with numbers maybe, and then you'll be looking forward to seeing can you get the rides in the Group 1s, because if you're not riding winners, people won't know us. And you have to do the day-to-day work to get the gratification out of it, I suppose, and get noticed and let people see that you can do the job properly, and they'd have confidence putting you up then.
Billy, is it true you actually wanted to be a national hunt jockey first when you were a kid, that was the thing that you wanted to be, and that your idols weren't the flat jockeys, they were the jumpers?
Yeah, no, I always, because my mother was a pint-to-pint trainer and things, and she had a couple of winners in the track as well, so it was always jump racing with us, but I was lucky enough to go on the flat, and I started pony racing then as well, so that was a help that sort of steered me towards the flat.
How does that work? How does the pony racing steer you towards the flat? What's the connection?
Well, I just started out with a couple of ponies, and started from there and just kept going, and started riding racehorses, and then lucky enough I was able to get into Tommy Stack's when I was 14, and I ended up serving my apprenticeship there and was there for a long time. So it just gave me a platform. I was able to, some idea of riding a race when I got my license, so it was a big help that way.
Yeah, okay. Can I interrupt this, because we wouldn't normally do this, but we are in the presence of one of the most famous people on the internet. I'm not entirely convinced that everybody knows that it's you. Johnny mentioned that you were in the Castletown Donkey Derby.
I just like to come in there, just for the clarity of what actually happened here, Billy. Ger asked me, were you in the castle? I didn't actually venture this information myself, so Ger brought it up, not me. But
this is classic. This is exactly this is the lockdown.
I knew you wouldn't throw me under the bus like that, Johnny.
And in fairness, you've ridden horses with no chance in races, but this was particularly so, I think.
Well, hang on. In case anybody doesn't know what we're doing, let's just show a quick 30 seconds of the video. Have a look.
Which is your donkey, Bill?
That one.
Which is that one?
That one.
That one there?
Yeah.
The grey one. Right. Now, what do you think? What do you think your chances, Bill?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Have you ridden him before, Bill?
Yeah, last year.
Last year. Where'd you come last year, Bill?
Fourth.
Billy is your name?
Yeah.
And your chances are good, Bill?
Yeah.
Now, here comes Marcelli and Kieran. And Kieran has a job keeping Marcelli out of the bushes. She's storm mad to bring Kieran into the bushes. And there goes Harry Mull. Harry Mull and Percy. And Harry Mull, and once it's trying to get up now, and Harry Mull has won from Percy.
That was literally and metaphorically trying to get up there for our radio audience. What do you remember that, Billy? What do you remember? What's your recollection of that?
I think pulling up and everyone just absolutely in knots laughing after the race. So I think that was one memory of it, all right.
Did you finish second? Is that what happened there?
Yeah, I finished second, yeah.
Right, and that was your first proper pre-race interview. Good testing ground for what was going to happen later on. That is absolutely amazing. Like, I don't know if you ever get it out and watch it, or if people send it to you from time to time as a reminder, but it is definitely one of the funniest Irish things on the internet.
It's insane. And not only that, Billy, but the commentary as well.
Ah, yeah, he was a local publican above in Castletown. He was very funny at it.
It was I think he was probably taken aback as much as everyone else by what actually transpired. But they must have been some crack them days, in fairness, as a youngster.
Ah, yeah, they were. Like, it was August 15th, and there was a little festival in around Castletown, and they were great days.
Like, all joking aside, the ability to ride a donkey, I guess, is the type of thing that turns you into a good horseman later on, right? Like, there's stuff that you're going to learn there that's going to stand you in good stead for the rest of your life.
I suppose you could say that, yeah.
Does it not? Like, does it not? I'm trying to, like, because we have this great tradition, right? Everybody says Irish jockeys are the best in the world, and it's from the different types of experiences they have. Like, so you have the hunters, you have the show jumpers, you have the pony racers, you have people who are in donkey derbies in Castletown, and it's all of those coming together, going up against each other when they eventually make it to 15 or 16 in races. That means that you've got this disparate style, and you can't just say that the Irish jockey has exactly the same style.
No, definitely not. We're definitely a lot different than other countries, and that, you see some of the best horsemen in the world here being in Ireland, and I suppose that's it. You explained it perfectly there, just different upbringing with horses and that.
So if your heroes as kids were jumpers, was there some stage where you had to sit down and start watching tape on the best flat jockeys and saying, right, I'm going to try and take a little bit of that and a little bit of that?
Yeah, like a little bit, but I suppose I was just doing it when I got me apprentice license. I just started going racing, and then I just started watching plenty of lads at it. Like, but up to then it was more national hunt. Even when I got my license, I thought I'd grow and be a bit heavy and probably end up being a jump jockey. So, but when I knew I sort of had a grip on the weight and that, I started watching the good lads then.
And the grip on the weight, that comes about from strength and conditioning and a proper diet as well?
Well, not when I was 17 and 18. It was a lot of non-eating days and a lot of sweating and doing it totally wrong. I've done a few interviews, and I said if I could go back again and try and do what Wayne is doing with me, and have a proper diet, I probably wouldn't have had half the weight battles. So, no, it used to be hard slogs those days, trying to get the weight off and not eat, and that was the worst,
And what can you eat now?
One of the...
I eat a nice bit. I keep it as balanced as I can and not overdo it. And I'd eat 3 meals a day, but they wouldn't be massive, but they'd be 3 good meals, and they keep me going, and that's all you can do. And do plenty of exercise along with it.
It's interesting that Billy, that's probably been one of the big stories of your career, that you were, it's one of these things youth has wasted on the young a bit, that you were sort of late to this kind of strength conditioning and diet that, I'd say you definitely have a story or two to tell to the younger jockeys that are coming up now about, the fact that you don't necessarily have to wait to make a weight.
No, not necessarily, but there's, you probably still have to sweat a little bit, but there's definitely better ways of doing it now, you know. And there's a lot more information out, Johnny. You know what I mean? Those information wasn't there when I started. Like, you know, it was don't eat and try and load jackets and go away running for yourself and or go into hot baths and it wasn't the way to do it, you know. In fairness, we've come a long way in a short period of time, and it's getting a lot better, and younger lads are more educated on diet and strength and conditioning now. But you know, the one thing that doesn't work in it definitely is starving yourself.
Can you give us specifics of like what are you eating? Because everybody knows who has tried to follow some kind of specific calorie intake. It's really hard. It's a pain. You've got to prepare days and days in advance. You've got to make sure that you've got the shopping right, and then after the shopping, the food doesn't miraculously move from the fridge to whatever Tupperware you have to. You know, what are you doing? What are you actually eating?
Just in the mornings, I'd either have porridge or something in the mornings or something, or maybe eggs and a bit of chicken, and it's just and same like fish, veg, and that, and then dinners like same, you know, fish or veg or a bit of meat and veg, and it's just keeping it simple and not doing, you know, going for chocolate bars and biscuits and taters. Like, you know, if you can stay away from them, you can eat a nice bit, and
I'm screwed, so
basically.
So no, but you're saying no spuds, no pasta, no bread.
No, look, you can, but you just have to keep it in moderation and not overdo it, you know.
How have you found the standard of what you have on offer as jockeys in terms of food at the track, Billy, and is it improving in Ireland?
It was, Johnny, yeah, it was coming along good, and they knew sort of guidelines on it and what had to be at the races. So it was coming on. It was coming on, still not near what the standard of England would be, but it was definitely going in the right direction, and I'm sure it would have been there in another year or two. They'd have had it probably perfect, but sure, you know, with this lockdown, and I suppose Kate and crowd now not allowed being on the tracks again, it's going to be, sure, there's going to be no food at the races, but we're going to have to provide for ourselves.
And can you just explain to people what it is actually like for you when you will resume on June the 8th? What is it going to be like riding at those meetings for a jockey?
It's going to take, I suppose, just take a bit of getting used to not having any crowds at it, I suppose, you know. Like, it was all right doing it a couple of days before the lockdown. You think things might get back to normal, but we're going to have a long year of people not being at the race. It's going to be a bit strange and it'll take a bit of getting used to. But at the same time, I suppose we're just very lucky to be getting back racing and getting the sport back going.
Just, I suppose, to bring our minds back to something that seems like a million miles away now, the Galway Festival last year, and you know, we had one of the owners on of the partnership of One Cool Poet afterwards, obviously breaking a record, a horse that looked like he was kind of a bit of a thinker about the game, and he only goes and wins 3 times at Galway. But I know we're talking about a handicapper here, albeit what turned out to be a good handicapper, but that must have been some thrill to be involved with different connections, and just to do that at a track as demanding as Galway on a horse that was deemed tricky at the time.
Yeah, like, you know, it was something unbelievable, really, like that. He'd go on the Tuesday and win over a mile, and then next thing, as the week progressed, he just started winning easier. You know, like the day on the Saturday that he won, like he absolutely bolted up. And like when you watch back and see where he is in the dip, you'd say he has no chance. And next thing, all of a sudden, at the furlong marker, he's there, bang up sides in front, and it was the speed that he was able to generate from the dip, say, to the furlong pole was he got me out of trouble, because if another horse that wasn't maybe able to pick up as well wouldn't have got the gaps, but this One Cool Poet, he was just able to skip through him, no bother at all. And I suppose, you know, he loved racing. By the end of it, he had his confidence up, and even when you watch the Curry again, I watched it back there lately, and where he is turning in, you'd say he had no hope in hell. And you know, And to be fair, when he got the gap and he's still running at him, you'd say his run has to come to an end, but he had the bit between his teeth and he was loving it. So they were great days, and delight for the lads too, because they enjoyed every minute of it and they got great crack out of it, and they persevered with the horse. He linked the injury and everything, so it was a great story to be told.
Do you have any idea how much horse is left with when you see him and you look back in the video? Did you know that speed was coming? Did you know that kick was in him in the last couple of furlongs?
Probably the first day, no, because I actually got there a little bit soon. But the next 2 days I did, and I sort of rode him that way with confidence. And look, it was either going to work or it didn't. Who knows? I didn't know at the time whether it was going to work or not, but I just had to give the horse what I thought was the best chance of winning the race, and thankfully it worked out.
Can you feel it in the middle of the race when there's like half a furlong left that you've done it right?
You would. Well, looking back on him, yeah, I knew I had it done right, because he was absolutely hack-cantering at the furlong pole. Bar he was going to apply the brakes. I knew I was after getting it right. So, but usually you do. Some days you think you're going to win a race, and next thing you're nabbed on the line by something that's coming behind you. So, but that's 9 times out of 10 you fairly know that you have it done right.
Just a reminder, our guest this week is the jockey Billy Lee on Friday Night Racing, brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie or follow the new Twitter account at HRI Racing, and the hashtag is every racing moment. Billy, there's a big win on Champions Weekend that I wanted to just talk to you about as well. Fiesalano, is that the correct pronunciation of this horse, Willie McQuarrie's?
Fiesalano, yeah.
Fiesalano. What was the crack there?
It was the first Champions Weekend, and she'd been, after being placed in the Group 1 in France in the Prix de Marie de Geest over 6.5 furlongs, and she'd sort of, the matron was probably the only race sort of there for on Champions Weekend, but she was a really good mare, and she I was very lucky, I'd won 4 or 5 before that on her, and just that day, again, I just rode nice and quietly. She was just a mare that barely got a mile, on her best day. She just about hit the mile, and was lucky enough that the gap came, and she was again quick and through it quickly, and she won well on the day. It was some buzz that day, because as hard as it is to get on good horses, it's harder to win on a home Group 1. I suppose it's very hard to win, and it was an extra special day.
The fact that you had that experience with her over the previous 4 or 5 races that you were talking about, is that imperative if you're riding races that big, or is the professional aspect of it just there are some days where you're going to get a race, you're going to get on a horse at the last minute, it'll be a big race, and irrespective of what you have experienced, what relationship you've built up with that horse, you just have to go because that's the job?
Yeah, but the much more you know is always better, I suppose, but again, yeah, you could get a big ride at the last minute, and sure, all you can do is prepare as best you can and get as much information about the horse as you can and what ways to be ridden. So that's all you can do. But yeah, definitely, if you can, I had a good relationship with her. I'd ridden her plenty of times beforehand, and it was probably better I did on the day. It worked out that I knew that she was a mare that just barely got a mile, and it worked out in the end.
She's obviously a mare that was very good to all of the connections, including the owner and Willie McQuarrie. But it's intriguing, I suppose, looking to the future. She's produced a couple of foals that have run so far, and up the Galileo horse out of Fiesalano looks like he could be a very nice horse. Is he all good for his 4-year-old campaign, Billy?
Yeah, no, he's definitely exciting. He's only had the 4 runs, and he hadn't been out of the first 2, so he's exciting, and he'll probably be there for second half of the season now, and looking forward to getting getting back on him as well, you know.
And what about Roman Eyes? I suppose your highlight of 2019 and one of the gents of the game, Ken Condon, to have a Group 1 winner for him must have been pretty special as well.
It was. Because, again, I'd ridden him a couple of times, but I'd been riding him all his work, and he'd been just improving nicely all through the year, and he'd a couple of good runs in Group 1s. Probably, you know, he was unlucky in Ascot. The gaps didn't open in time, and he was running on 4th. Probably it was another day, you know, that he might have had another shot at Group 1. But the day in France, he was just electric. He just, you know, the way he cruised through the race, and I just gave him a squeeze, and he cruised up to Shaman in front of him, and he was half speeding beside him. You know, to do that in any race is a great feeling, but to be doing it actually in a Group 1 is unreal, and he was just electric that day.
Go on, sorry, yeah. Well, I was going to say that must make you pretty ambitious to get back to that level, that you know you can mix it here, that you're, you know, whatever sense that anybody has in any job, that there's a bit of imposter syndrome until you actually do it. You kind of have to fake it till you make it. But you've done it now a couple of times, and you 50-odd winners last year, so you must be cresting to a position where you're very confident and you just want that all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, you every year I go out and just, I want to ride as many winners as I can, and hopefully I'm riding more winners than I did last year. And it's I suppose that competitive edge that's built up in me over the years, and now I'm just really looking forward just to getting racing and getting back going and getting back into the groove of things again. And June 8th really can't come quick enough.
I suppose, will your roster in terms of trainers be much the same this year? And you're obviously getting yourself around because you're not entirely attached to one big yard. So what's your itinerary going to be for 2020 when we resume in terms of trainers and so on?
Yeah, look, obviously with Willie McCreary and Ken Condon and Paddy Toomey, you know, they're my 3 main trainers at the moment, and going right out for them. And I ride in as much work then after as possible. If someone rings, I try and meet them and try and ride work for, you know, just to get around, and because, you know, there's going to be lots of racing compacting into a short space of time now, and you don't want to be getting forgotten about. So it's just a matter of keeping yourself out there.
Is there anything? Go on.
Sorry, Ger. I suppose there are a couple of extraordinary people as well. Just maybe to mention it before we are wrapping up. The Kevin Prendergast features in the Racing Post interview with David Jennings today, and for a man who's nearly 88, he's incredible. It was an incredible interview, really, and a man that really we can all aspire to. But so another man's birthday today, Billy, in the jockeys ranks as well.
Yeah, Pat Smullen. You know, he's. You know, what can you say about Pat? That hadn't already been said. He's a true gent. He's one of the top riders. You know, when he was going, he was one of the top riders in the world. On any day, he gave every day 100%. And you look at his ride in the English Derby was top class. You know, the coolness, the professionalism of Pat was always his top notch, and he had a brain to go with it. And but a pure gentleman, Pat should sit down, have the crack with you, and you know, you could have a chat about anything about to Pat. So happy birthday to him, and it's good that he's doing well, and hopefully he's enjoying lockdown on the farm.
My last question was going to be about when you actually get back to the track. What is it that is going to be the main signifier for you? Do you actually have to wait until you're in the stalls and you're under starters' orders and you're off for you to go, yeah, we're back now? Or is there something that you think is going to be the thing that you miss the most?
Yeah, I suppose being in the stalls, you know, then you know you're getting raring to go. I suppose that it kicks in, but yeah, no, look, I suppose when you're actually jocked up on horses and you're looking forward and planning out the race in your head and how it's going to go, I suppose that's what I'm looking forward to, getting back and going through all that. And you know, look, when we get back, you know, it's going to be safe, and hopefully everyone does their part. But from the meetings that were on before the lockdown, as I say, were run to a high standard, and you know they're going to be even stricter now when we get back. So, you know, racecourse with no people, with no crowds in our big place, so we'd be definitely safe enough that way that we can. We'll definitely social distancing will be no bother on that, and so look, hopefully we can all keep it going for as long as possible.
Does the adrenaline kick in when the actual stalls open, or does the adrenaline kick in before that when you're actually putting on the colours for that specific race?
It depends, you know. It can happen in any stage. It could be, as you say, putting on the colours, or it could be just going cantering to the start or into the stalls. I suppose it depends what race it is. You know, it could be the first race, your adrenaline could be up going out to get on the horse, but by the 8th race, your adrenaline might be gone. You know, you might be tired, but yeah, it's not specifically one point of the race or one point of the build up to the race. It can happen at any stage, I suppose.
Well, listen, we wish you the very best of luck for the entire season. Thanks so much for making time today, and stay safe until we see you back in colours, hopefully on the 8th of June. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, lads. See you now.
Cheers. It's Billy Lee there giving us some thoughts on how the season is going to go. Johnny, one thing before we move on, I actually have a strong sense that whatever sport we're going to see over the next 6 to 9 months, even for the next year and a half, there's going to be a lot of aberrations. There's going to be a lot of unusual results because preparation has not been at the same level of perfection that we would have been used to over the last period of time. Now, in some instances, like in flat racing, perhaps this will actually feed into the success of the bigger enterprises, but you do kind of also feel like there's just going to be a difference in what we would expect from a lot of results.
Yeah, you know, across all sports, you know, I've been sort of thinking about that for the football clubs that are trying to get back as well. You know, how rusty they will be. That was a word that Billy used, I think. Actually, it was a word Kevin Prendergast used as well today when he said he was back playing golf. He was a bit rusty because he hadn't played in a while. But a lot of these clubs are going to be rusty, and maybe it will lead itself a bit in racing as well. One thing, Ger, I suppose we haven't discussed at much length is the jockey situation is going to be quite interesting. In that you're not really going to be, as of now anyway, you're not going to be ferrying a jockey in to ride for you in your big race in Ireland willy-nilly, the likes of Ryan Moore or that. So that's going to be really interesting. So I think there will be opportunities for jockeys as well because you know the likes of the Ryan Moores of this world, he'll have to be based somewhere one place or the other, and that's going to feed to opportunities for the home based riders. But it's interesting. I think if you are a punter, you know, I would definitely be a little bit careful on resumption because some trainers have kind of let horses out to grass and they've brought them back in with a view to returning. Some of them have been keeping them through the motions, but they've been trained in a slightly strange way because the trainer didn't know when the racing was resuming. So I'd be a little bit wary of the form for the first week or two when it's back. But I was just looking there at the dates. We're just a fortnight off nearly the first declarations in Irish racing, and behind closed doors or not, it's going to be exciting for everyone that it's back. Yeah, 100%. This weekend, Santa Anita takes centre stage in the US on Saturday. Sunday sees the Standard Chartered and Chater Cup at Shatin in Hong Kong. You can bet on and live stream these and more international races on thetote.com. And this week we've another €100 donation, which brings the Tote Irish Injured Jockeys Fund to €1,440. Irish racing set to resume in the coming weeks. And it says here it won't be long until Johnny has the chance to start landing some big winners for the fund. I believe this might be the highest we've ever had the fund. Is it the highest, like when we have not been betting? I don't know, but I suppose like if I could tip a guaranteed 100 quid winner every week, I'd be very happy with that. So it probably is better than I've managed anyway. But
we should have a little word about your strategy when racing resumes, that we're trying to raise money for the Injured Jockeys Fund as opposed to just punting on long odds no hopers.
Well, you see, I do like to, you know, I do like to get big winners, you know, something that will make a real difference, and that's the theory anyway, you know. Yeah, but I am looking forward to it. But it's strange, like, and this actually will be a problem. Like you start forgetting about horses, and I've been speaking to mates, and you kind of, you know, you have to go online and just remember what a horse did last season, or where he ran or where she ran, and it's been a really strange time in that regard, because, you know, in terms of there are many anti-post bets that people could be having. Nobody's talking about anything because it's just been gone for so long. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'll be tipping losers pretty soon, I should hope.
Okay. Friday Night Racing and Off the Ball is brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie. That's another Friday Night Racing in the books for you. Billy Lee was our guest this week. We'll see you next week at 3 o'clock across all of our Off the Ball social channels. So that's offtheball.com. You can get us on youtube.com/offtheball and on Facebook as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel there, or indeed to the OTB highlights on our podcast network. And of course, every Friday evening from 8 o'clock, you can hear Friday Night Racing on Off the Ball on News Talk. See you next week.
Friday Night Racing
On Off the Ball.
brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.